This is John W. Whitehead, author of A Government of Wolves, the emerging American police state, bringing you a message about the state of our nation. What we're facing right now as American citizens in the United States is what I would call an extreme irony. We're facing a militarized police state. Unarmed citizens are getting shot. All kinds of dangerous things are happening to citizens. You're having 4-year-old kids now getting arrested in public schools and taken to jail and arrested simply because they're throwing a tantrum at school or disagreeing. More and more, those entrusted with protecting the Constitution, the justices on the Supreme Court, are siding with law enforcement and other government agents against the citizenry. Probably one of the most dangerous cases recently decided, among others, is the Hine case, Hine versus North Carolina. In April 2009, a police officer stopped Nicholas Hine's car allegedly over a faulty brake light, and during the course of the stop and subsequent search found a small amount of cocaine in the car. In North Carolina, where the traffic stop took place, it's not actually illegal to have only one working brake light. When the legitimacy of the traffic stop was challenged in court and the evidence was attempted to be suppressed, the arresting officer claimed ignorance, and the courts deemed it a reasonable mistake. And the Supreme Court upheld this, saying that ignorance of the law by a policeman, if it's reasonable, they can violate your rights. Now, if you reverse this situation, it's almost automatic. If a citizen is ignorant of the law and breaks the law, they're found guilty almost 100% of the time. There's no exception for the citizen. But now we have an exception for policemen who, if they're ignorant of the law, can go ahead and violate your constitutional rights, and it's okay. It's upheld. This is just one of a number of cases that have caused some great alarm among those who believe in civil liberties and constitutional lawyers out there that are fighting to save our Constitution. For example, "I didn't know it was against the law" was the excuse the police used to justify the repeated tasering of Malika Brooks. She was 8 months pregnant and on her way to drop her son off at school. Mrs. Brooks was repeatedly tasered by Seattle police during a routine traffic stop simply because she refused to sign a speeding ticket. The police who tasered the pregnant woman insisted they weren't aware that repeated electroshocks to a pregnant woman qualified as constitutionally excessive and unreasonable force. The Supreme Court, as you might guess, gave the police a get-out-of-jail card. In Maryland versus King, a divided Supreme Court determined that police can forcibly take your DNA, whether or not you've even been convicted of a crime. And in an effort to make life easier for overworked jail officials, the court ruled in Florence versus Burlington that police can subject Americans to virtual strip searches no matter the offense. Then in one of the most egregious cases I've ever read, to be honest with you, and I'm 40 years a civil liberties attorney, in an 8-1 ruling in Kentucky versus King, the Supreme Court ruled that if a SWAT team arrives at your door, it's the wrong door, they don't have a warrant, but they think you might be doing something illegal, they can bash through your door, the SWAT team, conduct a search of your property, arrest you, shoot your dog or whatever, and that's constitutional. Justice Ginsburg, the only dissenter in that case, said it was the end of the Fourth Amendment. What these cases tell us is this: we're no longer protected by the courts in this country. I've studied former regimes, Nazi Germany, the Soviet Union, what we see happening in some countries today that we would call regimes. The last institution to fall before the curtain falls on what we might call fascism are the courts. The courts start agreeing with the state and protecting government agents against all types of egregious activity. What does this mean for us? Well, what it means is it's time to wake up, folks. It's time to realize you no longer live in what we might call a free country, that if you make the slightest mistake, you can be shot, you can be tasered, you can be taken to jail, your rights can be violated, and you have no remedy whatsoever. So what can you do? Get active. Get your neighbors together. Get down to your local city council, your local courts. Protest. Show them that you will no longer put up with this type of activity. And when your rights are violated, contact groups like the Rutherford Institute, and let's take these things to the court. Maybe sooner or later we can wake these justices up to the reality that we live in a free land and that our Constitution protects our rights. For more information on the Rutherford Institute, visit us at www.rutherford.org.
lockstep.org.